Okay. Right now, I'd love to introduce Brent and Andrea. And these guys are involved in so many things. I have a list here. Brent is the owner of Redline Designs, where he's a photographer, a web designer, and graphic designer. Amazing creative talent, which is cool. You're the co-founder of the Zod Andrea podcast. So,
Yes.
Together, that is one of the things that you do. And also together, the founder of Tomorrow We Vote, which I hope you'll get a chance to talk a little bit about,
Yes.
so we know what that is. And so, Andrea, in addition to the things that you work on with Brent, you're also a member of the marketing committee for We the People Summit, and the owner of Viaza LLC. So I'm sure we'd love to hear more about what that is too. All right, so let's give them a hand and welcome them, and let's get started.
All right. She's leveling. She's good. Can you hear her? All right.
Okay.
I guess we were going to talk more so about Tomorrow We Vote, but we can bring all of our experiences here as much as we can to try to cram this into such a short segment. My name is Brent Whiting. I am founder of Redline Designs, which I founded where I'm from, New Jersey, back in 1996. So I've been working for myself since 1998 is when I finally quit my job because I was a little tired of wearing a suit while designing things. Being creative in a certain tie just didn't really appeal to me. So I finally broke off from that, had a rapper who said that he would take me on tour with him in 1998. So we did that, did 30 cities, met another rapper while on that tour, did 5 countries, and it kind of took off from there. The money situation was really good, especially over in the East Coast. I'm from Jersey, lived in Brooklyn also, so the money was a lot just coming in. And financially, just really perfect. It was a big difference when I came over here in Arizona because you can't charge people as much as you can in New York. Different lifestyle. So it was an adjustment for me to make over here, but it was also getting to know that there are a lot of people who had similar experiences that I had in Jersey, but it was just a lot more toned down. Anybody here from the East Coast? All right, we got a few people, so they know. You know, we get a little amped up, we get fired up, and then when you come over here, they're just really relaxed, and they don't know how to take that energy. So I kind of apply that to the businesses that I have. To talk about, I guess, the Zod Andrea podcast real quick, I'm going to have to bring you in on this one to talk about what we do there, because this is a lot of blogging and podcasting, and that is something that we have been doing now for almost 3 years. So did you want to say something?
Sure. So we started then the Zod Andrea podcast because that's kind of like our ulterior, like our AKA aliases names, right? Because as a couple, when we started dating, we would just have conversations about everything and anything, from politics to relationships to just movies. And we both have a commonality when it comes to movies we love. Like, I love action movies, so does he. I love science fiction, so does he. So it was just all these things that we had in common. And one day, while we're sitting on the sofa, just like 2 a.m, talking away, he's like, well, we should do a podcast and share our experiences. And I thought, who would want to know about it? Like, who would want to dial in and listen to us? So with his background, thank you very much. So with Brent's background then in music and in engineering and making all that happen, we were able to then create our podcast from our home. And he structured it to a way where it's very much in this tight package of 30 minutes. 15 minutes of a main topic, 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there. And we talk about everything. And we're very uncensored, and we then also take that to, we also do some video work and take it to events. We take it to protests. We take it to all types of things that are going on in the community. We both have, in our backgrounds, many years of activism in various formats, either volunteering or actually being at a protest. I always joke around that you love the smell of tear gas sometimes, because he loves to take photographs in the most crazy situations, but they come out so beautiful. So we've done those types of things together for our podcast. And then it kind of bled that type of presence in the community and activism into what we're doing today. You want to talk a little bit about Tomorrow We Vote?
So Tomorrow We Vote is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that focuses on registering students inside of the classrooms. So, there are other orgs who kind of do that, but they leave other steps out. So registering students in the classroom is one thing, or even registering students is, that's all in good. But there's also a step 2, which is, okay, informing them of exactly what they were registering and what they're going to vote about. So since we're nonpartisan, we don't tell them D or R or independent, you can just do whatever you want to do there. But we want to also inform them on the issues that are happening that will directly affect them. So, just in case, we're going to start backwards. Anybody here a baby boomer?
Anybody?
No?
No.
Okay. Generation X? All right. X is living now. All right. Generation Y, aka millennials? Okay, millennials are a little loud. Okay, we got to get it. And then there is Generation Z. Anybody here who was born at...
I'm on the cusp.
On the cusp? Yeah. Born when?
1996.
Okay, you're on the cusp. Yeah. They're 98, but you're millennial. You're millennial. So we wind up aiming for the youth that are like you and younger. And those are the ones who are so, I guess you can say, ill-informed. They're more into Fortnite and Apex, whatever it is, video games, than they are into what is going on in the Capitol, which can financially directly affect them. There's actually a bill right now, and would you like to speak about this bill that directly affects them, that they had no idea what it was about until we wound up bringing it to a lot of classrooms, which helped register a lot of voters?
HB 2523. So this bill is called the Youth Employment Bill. And what it was, so for those who are pretty familiar with it, and those aren't, I'll just give a little background about it. The state legislature was voting on this bill to reduce the pay rate for anybody under the age of 22 to $7.25 per hour.
Down.
Because a lot of these decision makers thought, oh, well, that will just loosen up money then for let's say, so a small business owner could hire more kids.
Trickle down.
And, this way, it could just spread the wealth. No. Would you like to all of a sudden be paid $15 an hour, then all of a sudden one day you're told, just because you're 22 years old and you go to school full time, you're only going to get now $7.25.
And that's also assuming that nobody who is 21, 20, 22 has a family. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about a wage that is not livable in Arizona. And there are other voter suppression bills that are also going through. I mean, they're outrageous, but the students want to know all about this, and this all affects them. So with Tomorrow We Vote, we want to make sure that financially people can actually be affected, and this really has a big direct effect to people of color, like a big direct effect. So a lot of times what we'll do is we'll go to the west side, and that's where we'll wind up registering most of our students. The first time we had done it, thanks to JAG. Oh, who's that? Oh yeah, Athena. Thanks to JAG. We were able, the first time we ever went out was register 191 students in the first day. And that was at Tellison High School. And we've been continuously doing our thing until we really hit a record, maybe, a few weeks ago, where we went to La Jolla High School. We registered 263 students in one day. So there are a lot of students who are becoming a lot more interested in the voting process because it affects them not just politically, but also financially, because these are people that are also going to go to college, and considering all 3 state universities raised tuition rates, and now they're trying to lower what people pay them, you can pretty much see what's going to happen to them in the future as their money goes down, and house prices obviously are keeping going up. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult.
I want to cut into that really quick though, not to brag about you guys. Obviously we're in love with each other, but they not only have the kids register, but they teach the kids how to register other youth as well, and how to canvass. And so one of the students that they worked with at Tempe High School, she needed a job, so she worked with them. She works with them off and on to help them give signatures and sign up voters. She interviewed, so we have employability skills. Anyway, she interviewed with the census, and she actually got offered a position that they only hire people with bachelor's for, but because actually was one of the top scorers for our employability skills competition at the state, we served 1,300 kids.
That is beautiful. Yeah, JAG is great. Thank you. So we are trying to do that. We're trying to extend that, as well as try to show the youth that you can do things such as set up nonprofits, but you can also get involved with the community, get involved with the political process, get involved with civics, the civics game, and actually make money sustain yourself, but also control the narrative. The more people who wind up voting and the more young people who vote and wind up what their power is, because what we do is, like I said, we register, that's step one, but they have to understand their power. Once they understand their power, they're going to be a lot more of a force to deal with in the future. And we're hoping that also spreads out financially. Anything?
Okay, time's up. Enough. Okay, so then to add to that a little bit more is what also that we deliver then with our,
Keep
and I
backing
keep
up.
going back.
I have
don't
no
know
idea
I don't know is that we deliver then what we're trying to then get them to be civically engaged for with the students, and pretty much anybody under the age of 22 is just tying in what that issue is. What is the issue that's important to them? Instead of us just going out saying, you need to vote, that's not going to work. They're immediately going to shut down. But we engage them, like what issues are important to you? Is it LGBTQ? Is it paying for college? Is it getting a job? Is it healthcare? What is it? And tying that into what's important to them and how they want to back that issue up, and then into how that affects them when they're voting. And then, like we said, the bill that just happened, which thank goodness did not pass the Senate.
Yeah, it
this year.
died.
So it died, the bill died, so that youth employment bill is not happening. But it could kind of creep up again in a different format, a different way. So an example is on the students then that we were, when we were doing that presentation over at La Jolla High School, we had a student then that like put his hand up and asked, who do I call? How do I make sure this doesn't happen? So all of a sudden about 3 students started calling their senator immediately and telling them that, yes, don't do this, don't pass this. So just getting that type of action going on their own to show the impact that they have is tremendous. And that's what we wanted to then continue on and continue on. So again, going back to some of the questions about, we were given before about how financially what we do impacts in the community, we show a direct link of like, look, you're going to pass some laws that are going to affect our community, you're going to affect the economy. Look at the tax laws that are going on right now on a federal level. That's affecting a lot of communities of color right now, communities that are struggling. So if you like these tax laws, great. Continue on voting for those that support this. If you don't, then go out there and make a change and make it happen. Anything else?
No, that's about it. One thing real quick, when it comes to finances, we are financed by donors. We're financed by some other organizations. And so this is also a direct effect of what financing can do and how it can actually impact the community, which can impact the state. So this is one of the things where money does matter, and we can do everything that we want to, whatever, but if we're not eating also, this is also not going to be able to happen because I still have to do websites and graphic design too. Mm-hmm. But but in the meantime, while there is a nice direct impact that people wind up believing in what we do, believing in JAG, and us combining that marriage, we're able to also help affect Arizona, and hopefully you'll wind up seeing some of those changes in 2020.
Mm-hmm. Hiring students.
Yeah.
Hiring our community to help us out during this. That's what some of those funding, a lot of that funding goes to as well.
So financing, it trickles down the right way in this way.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a 501c3?
Both. 501c3, there's Tomorrow We Vote, and then there's Tomorrow We Vote Action, which is our tomorrow 501c4.
Oh, I was like, whoa.
Like, what is that?
Yeah.
And just to kind of clarify too, with our C3 is where we go into the schools and then we register students, and our C4 is more of that action arm where we then really back issues. We still, again, don't support specific parties or specific candidates. We don't do that.
But
we
we'll
specifically then support various issues.
Yeah.
On our
Climate
action
control, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Gun control.
Can I just say how important that, just from a personal perspective, I just had this conversation with my kids the other day. When I first registered to vote, I would vote for anyone who was a woman and anyone who had a Hispanic last name or Latin last name, if they were a woman before. I didn't know anything about anybody who was voting, but that's legit how my first conversations that are happening after school is just night and day. And so that's really cool that what you guys are doing is important work.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's so interesting, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Any questions?
Yeah, questions, comments?
Concerns?
You want to say something?
No,
I'm like this guy right here.
I'm just really blown away by all the speakers tonight, to be honest.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
And trying to kind of relate or question why I'm doing what I'm doing, and just try to make an impact, as well as reconfirming what I'm doing as well.
That's good.
One thing I think I do want to add, though, regarding your blogs or your vlogs or any of your videos that you do then regarding finance and communities of color is, and I just kind of piggybacking on what everyone else has said, is just make sure that you're speaking to the right audience. You'll know your audience and know exactly then how to make sure that message hits the right way. If that means you got to read a few books on, look, how do I message this? What's the right word to use for this, or to maybe address this issue? Go right ahead. You can contact even any one of us.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, please feel free to do that.
Like, feel free to contact.
And also be true to yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't need to be anybody except for who you are. Acknowledge what you know.
Community needs.
Yeah.
Please share.
I have a question for you. So you're mainly dealing with teens and young people. So in your interaction with them, what would you say are some of their main money concerns? And how can bloggers and podcasters keep those real concerns in mind and help impact that generation?
What we do is when we make our presentation, we have 25 minutes usually within a classroom to convince a bunch of young students who could care less about the political system. And they think that, oh, it's all the same, Republicans, Democrats, they're all the same, they don't help me out, and things have been the same for a year. We have 25 minutes to convince them to register to vote and want to get, involved. And we usually have probably, a 90-something percentile rate by the end of our 25 minutes. And one of the things that we do is early on, we ask them, what are the issues that concern your generation? Because they're going to be different than my generation. I'm 45 now. So, now it's like, okay, healthcare, when you're 18, come on, skateboarding and, 16, you were doing all kinds of things on your bike. You weren't thinking about healthcare. But these kids nowadays, they think about gun control. They think about the environment a lot. Like Andrea said, LGBT rights comes up. Prison reform has even come up because some of them with the school resource officers in their schools. So those hit a lot, and they start picking them off really. Like once one finally bursts that bubble or that balloon, then all of a sudden they all start raising their hand and saying things. What are some of the other ones?
Another issue is college.
I was about to say college. Yeah,
college
tuition.
Is very scary to a lot of the students we work with because it seems so unattainable because of the cost. So offering some type of solutions then, like
wages.
maybe, that's why the wages conversation
Yep.
is so important, because they're like, wait, you're going to cut my wages, government, and now I can't be able to afford my financial aid or whatever that's going to look like, and then you have students that don't even know what financial aid means or what they could apply for. So having something available for them of resources of maybe go to a community college, maybe you do a trade school, what does that look like? Maybe you don't go straight to a university. Giving them options is going to help so much, because that is a big fear for them right now. Some of them are like, forget it, I ain't going to college. I don't want to deal with that. And that's heartbreaking.
So those are pretty much the issues that affect the youth right now, at least in Arizona that we know of. But I think it's pretty much general all around, because they're a different bunch than we are. We are X's and Y's. The Z's are usually fiscally conservative. So when it comes to money, they're usually fiscally conservative, but they're liberal on policies and issues. So they can't really be put into a box as much as the older politicians who are in Washington would like to. They would love to claim all their votes. So instead, they just kind of try to silence them.
Well, the way we found out too was why Generation Z is more fiscally conservative is going back to trauma. A lot of them lived through the housing market crash, where mom and dad had everything, or I had all these things, and all of a sudden I have nothing. So there's already then something that's programmed in their mind, like, I don't want to live through that again. I don't want to do that again. So I'm going to be very conservative with my money.
And yet the issues, obviously, with gun control and with March for Our Lives, and they wind up really paying attention to the issues that affect them a lot more. So it's not just party lines. A lot of them actually, to tell you the truth, wind up registering independent. Like a lot.
Not the largest party in Arizona. Isn't that the largest party in Arizona?
Actually, yeah.
It is.
It is.
It is. Any other questions?
That makes me so happy.